Let's talk some 49ers on this Saturday. This is the San Francisco 49ers Report by Chat Sports. I'm Chase Sr. Hope all of you watching and hanging out are having a fantastic Saturday and you have some good plans for this weekend. I know it's June 29th and we're kind of in this dull period between mandatory minicamp and training camp, but there continue to be new developments on the Brandon Aiyuk front. This is obviously a marquee story among Niner fans for San Francisco, but also one of the biggest headlines throughout this entire offseason around the National Football League. So want to give you an update here on the show. And make sure you subscribe to the channel, by the way. Talked about some of this yesterday with Larry Krueger, how Aiyuk was driving to the facility. He was on Instagram Live. Did that signal that a deal was going to get done, or did it signal that a deal is going to get done at some point? Aiyuk did say on the Pivot podcast with Ryan Clark, Channing Crowder, Fred Taylor, that he still goes to the facility from time to time to do some workouts, and it's a good relationship between him and the 49ers organization. That, of course, is really important as both sides tried to get a deal done here. Before we get to the latest, though, make sure you subscribe to the channel right here on the 49ers Report. We are 29 subscribers away from 134,000 subscribers. It's my goal to get there with this video, and if you want Niners shows every single day, whether I'm at the Chat Sports studios or I'm at home on my off day, because the grind never stops, hit that sub button right now. So as for Aiyuk going on the Pivot podcast and that episode being released yesterday, for context, he did record that prior to meeting with the Niners between Aiyuk, his agent, John Lynch, Kyle Shanahan on Monday. Just want to put that out there because some of the things that he talked about are noteworthy still, but some of them a little bit outdated since that podcast has been released and it happened before the meeting with San Francisco took place. So some key takeaways is that Aiyuk has said he's taken these contract talks personally. He feels as though he's one of the top wide receivers in the National Football League. He has every right to feel that way. This is a player who's ascended. He's gotten better. He's progressed. He's improved. He's matured every single year that he's been in the NFL. He even talked about on the podcast how he was in the doghouse and he was in his feelings about that, but he's come out of it to really become a special player. In the last 2 years, he's put up 1,000-yard plus seasons, and then it all came to fruition for himself when last year he had a career season, and he was a second-team All-Pro. And I want people to put that in perspective, because when you're an All-Pro in the NFL, it's one of the greatest honors that you can have as a player. That means that you are one of the most elite players at your position in the NFL. And I think it's notable that he was an All-Pro at the wide receiver spot specifically. This is a position group in the NFL that is so deep with so many talented players. And you look across the landscape of the NFL right now, it is littered with premium players at the wide receiver spot. So for Aiyuk to be recognized as an All-Pro, despite him playing in a run-heavy offense, and he doesn't get the amount of targets that some of the other wide receivers get, it's really, really impressive that he was able to get to that level, and hopefully he can sustain that after, if he signs this contract extension with San Francisco. So when he feels disrespected by the offers that he's gotten from the Niners, it's understandable to see why he takes it personal. I do a great job at Chat Sports. I'm very confident in myself. The metrics back that up. There's been a long sample size of me growing YouTube channels, reaching millions of people every single month, me exceeding expectations. I came in right from the jump after I was hired, and I started making the company money right away. I was doing shows day one at Chat Sports. I was live 4 or 5 days in, and I was able to impress my bosses. And since then, I've gotten better, I've improved, and I think that for my age, I'm a confident guy, but the numbers back this up again. I'm one of the more talented sports broadcasters in the industry. That's how I feel about myself. And I say that because Brandon Aiyuk feels as though he's one of the most talented wide receivers in the game. And he is. I think he's a top 10, top 15 wide receiver. So when he's not getting the contract that he feels as though he deserves, and he feels as though he's being disrespected, it's a slap in the face, he takes it personal. If I were to show my bosses all of the metrics that I drive, all of the views that I get, and how I've been able to put together a long, consistent, successful stretch on YouTube, and then outside of that, I'm trusted to help build this company, to make hires at the company. I'm leaned on by my bosses to make some company decisions. I grow my social media pages, my Instagram and X, they take off. That's good for the company. If they were to give me an offer that was disrespectful, I would take it personal as well. And you should feel that too at your respective company. So Aiyuk taking it personal, I totally get it. He also said that he's with the right team. He's with the right quarterback. He's with the right head coach and wants to come back to the San Francisco 49ers. That's his main initiative. That's his main goal. But he is willing to play elsewhere. And this is very, very interesting because he pointed specifically to Commanders quarterback Jayden Daniels, who arrived on the set of the Pivot podcast with him, who they played with. They played with one another at Arizona State. He's now the quarterback of the Commanders, drafted number 2 overall. And Aiyuk said, look, I want to return to the Niners. Good situation with my quarterback and head coach. Great team that I'm on. But if they don't give me a deal, I'll play with that guy right there, Jayden Daniels. He also mentioned 2 teams specifically, where if he can't come to an agreement with the Niners, he could go to that organization. One being the Washington Commanders. They want to get Jayden Daniels, a number 1 wide receiver. They already have Terry McLaurin and Jahan Dotson. They have some good pieces defensively. They have the second most cap space in the National Football League. Adam Peters, the former Niners assistant general manager, is now their general manager, and there's some Niner connections there that would make sense. And then Aiyuk specifically mentioned the Pittsburgh Steelers as well. So he said, if not the Niners, the Commanders, or the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think that's really interesting because those are the 2 teams that have been rumored to be interested in Aiyuk the most this offseason. They're the 2 teams that I've talked about a lot here on the Niners Report, on my social media pages. And it's funny that Aiyuk specifically mentions both of those teams, yet when I talk about it on social media, people are like, it's not going to happen. You're just chasing clickbait. This is ridiculous. You're a fraud. Yet Brandon Aiyuk is the one mentioning these 2 teams, right? Tweeting directly at Mike Tomlin, showing up to a podcast with Jayden Daniels and saying, I would like to play with him if it's not with the Niners. Aiyuk also said there were moments this offseason he thought a deal was close, and that he called his agent to get a suit ready for a press conference. That's crazy. So at points this offseason, he thought that they were closing in on a deal to the point where, get the suit ready, Ryan Williams, my agent. We're about to wrap this up. I'm about to get paid. But he also added that right now, they're not really close. Keep in mind, there's still time left to get a deal. Also said the 49ers could have had him at a cheaper price if they paid him earlier this offseason. But the wide receiver market has reset multiple times. It's exploded multiple times. And now Aiyuk has become more expensive. I've talked about this all offseason as long. So that's another win in my book. On saying the Niners didn't want him on that infamous TikTok with Jayden Daniels, he said, quote, the 49ers told me that they didn't think that we were on the same page. It was part of the contract negotiation. So Aiyuk was talking about the 49ers in that TikTok video. Some people were saying that he wasn't talking about the Niners. Come on now. Read the tea leaves. Listen to your boy. Have some foresight. Got a lot of experience with covering these types of stories. And again, when you can take to social media to try to gain leverage in a contract negotiation, that's the modern day landscape of how negotiations go in professional sports. And Aiyuk even said that it's a contract negotiation. Like, I use social media on my side. And those are classic social media tactics. He added on what makes him valuable on top of being a receiver. He said his blocking. He said he's an extended left tackle. And I think that's a pretty interesting point, right? Because Aiyuk doesn't get the targets of a Jamar Chase, a Justin Jefferson, a CD Lamb, a Tyreek Hill, an A.J. Brown, the wide receivers who are paid more than him, Amon-Ra St. Brown. But with the production that he does have, with the targets he does have, it's actually really impressive what he's able to do. And he's a staple on this Niners team in the passing game. And those other wide receivers probably don't add to their teams as a blocker like Aiyuk does. So he adds value to the Niners team with his physicality, with his blocking ability, on top of being a receiver. I wonder if he has that on his side as part of these contract negotiations. On what jersey he'll wear next year. He said his guess, the 49ers. Again, if not the Commanders or the Steelers. And then TMZ released a clip here on Saturday, and Aiyuk said he wants to return to the 49ers. So Brandon Aiyuk wants to be a Niner. Brandon Aiyuk's prediction for where he'll play in 2024 is with the 49ers. But if they continue to disrespect him with these deals and training camp gets underway on July 23rd and a deal does not get struck, of course, the Niners have leverage. The Niners have options. They have flexibility. Aiyuk can play on the fifth year, $14+ million. They can franchise tag him after 2024. Aiyuk, though, can also demand a trade, and he can hold out. He has the right to do that as well, and he could hold out up until, I think, week 10, and then he would have to play by then, I believe, for the season to accrue, for him to start making some money, and for that season to count. That's kind of a in-season deadline. I hope it doesn't get to that point. I don't think it gets to that point, but just wanted to inform you on that timeline as well. All right, just wanted to hop on the mic, talk some Niners here, talk some Aiyuk. Appreciate everybody for watching the show. Closing in on another subscriber milestone. Don't forget to hit that sub button for year-round and daily coverage of the Niners. I'm Chase Sr. This is the 49ers Report. If there's breaking news that happens and the Niners and Aiyuk come to a deal, we're going to be going live and we're going to be pushing out some content. So that's why you hit that sub button, turn on those notifications. Therefore, whenever we go live, whenever we push out content, you'll be notified. See ya.